fabulous to be here with you all this evening. I'm going to be sharing what I've been working on this year, which is going into my new book, The God Upgrade, which is coming out in March. My husband, Jeff, who owns a high-tech web development firm, has a manual typewriter on his desk. You remember the ones that made a bing at the end of the line, alerting you to move the carriage return? One day, our 5-year-old Sadie noticed the typewriter and asked, "What is that?" Jeff explained it was for typing, and so she easily typed in Sadie. Now what? She was dumbfounded when he explained that was all it did. No touch screen, no mouse, not even a monitor. The point of the contraption eluded her, and she returned to a build-your-own roller coaster game on Jeff's iPad. As I watched her, it occurred to me that the God, as explained in the Bible, fits into our modern world about as well as a manual typewriter from the 1960s. Not to say that great things were not created based on the ideas presented in the Bible, just as the PC ultimately evolved from the typewriter, but the interface between our world and the biblical concept of God works about as well as trying to upload videos to YouTube on your typewriter. Good luck with that. Fortunately, there have been numerous upgrades to our God concept over the centuries, but for whatever reason, all too often, many of the people I know don't know about the upgrades. And think Judaism still subscribes to this God in the sky who writes down our deeds and rewards and punishes us accordingly. The idea of a God who rewards people with abundant crops and fertility and punishes them with withholding rain had pretty good staying power until science began to encroach upon it. Maybe our relationship with God would have remained simple if Ferdinand Magellan had simply sailed off the end of the earth like he was supposed to. When the world was flat, God had it easy. God could wake up before sunrise, put a cup of coffee on to brew, and get the sun rising through the sky. Then he could take down the moon and tuck it into bed until he needed it the next night. God would then pour a nice big mug of coffee, organic, shade-grown of course, because God has always advocated protecting the earth. God would sit down in his favorite celestial easy chair and read the newspaper. He needed to keep up with all the goings-on down on earth, but back when the world was flat, there were not so many people, so it didn't take very long. God had given the people an instruction book, so they knew exactly what was expected of them. He called it the good book because it taught you to be good. If the people obeyed the rules, God gave them rain in its season so the crops would grow. But when they did not obey the rules, there was drought and barrenness. But when Magellan proved the earth was spherical, all sorts of things fell apart between us and God. Next, Galileo came along to tell us that the earth was not the center of the universe. Now God was no longer in charge of getting the sun up in the sky. Soon drought and withering crops, and the withering crops they caused were due to climatic fluctuation and not sins. And strokes were due to blood clots, not demons. And other illnesses were caused by microbes and genetic mutation. And the common cold was inflicted by touching infected shopping cart handles. But maybe that was always the case. Once science moved in, there was little left for God to do. So he packed up and moved to South Florida, where he bought a condo in Century Village. Science and technology have in many ways dethroned God as the creator of the universe. In our society, awe has been replaced by rationalism. We look to science and technology rather than God to repair our lives and mend our hearts. Search engines have replaced Talmudic inquiries. Prozac has replaced prayer. Medicine has replaced Mishaberach. Social networking has replaced synagogue communities. But much to our chagrin, technology and science have turned out to be false gods. Our technological advances have solved many dilemmas, but much to our mortification, they have also caused others, such as climate change, pollution, and deforestation, and ironically, intensified loneliness for many people. It turns out that as wonderful as science and technology are, they cannot solve all our woes. Neither can they provide us with a roadmap for life. They cannot teach us values or priorities, give us direction, or help us make good choices. They cannot bring meaning to our existence. This, then, is still the task of religion. In my new book, I explore the changes we the Jews have made to our God concept over the many centuries. Not surprisingly, once we have reclaimed the word God and redefined God in a manner that makes sense in our world, Judaism itself is altered. How we live as Jews and how we practice as Jews requires redefinition. So join me on this mind adventure as we arrive at a Judaism for today, a religion that is inspirational, encouraging, and thought-provoking. Thank you.